All right, everybody, I am back. Uh, the interview ended not long ago, but I was in my cash account trade, so I wanted to, focus on that. But that was a beautiful trade. Let me share some screens real quick. I'll be back for an hour or so. We'll do some little bit of trading. Also took it on Ola Prime, went in a bit hard, added a bit of size. Thomas, welcome back. Yeah, I just took an incredible. Okay, maybe not incredible, but it was such a good trade on the cash account. I took it on the Ola Prime account as well. I went in hard. I went in basically mini, 10 micros. This right here, this moved down, and I got it almost to the T at the bottom. But the main beauty is on the cash. I went in. The size I went in. Let me. even I was a bit. This is a bit stupid. I went in 25 minis on my. Because I was expecting. I mean, in hindsight, it worked out, but it freaking hell that could have been dangerous. And I was in a bit of drawdown at one point. I was like, "Oh, this is painful to look at." But yeah, I went in 25 minis on this trade. I mean, it was insane, an insane trade, just because of the size. But I was expecting, as it started going heavy, I was expecting this to, plummet right back down. So I was looking for a huge payday. But if I was right, I would have, if it did go all the way down there, I would have made like 70 grand. I'm a bit annoyed it didn't. But still, I on the cash account, I'll post it on Instagram, the trade and everything on the cash account. In fact, maybe I could, if I can use Epic Pen to blur out the broker name, it will be fine. So let's go to Epic Pen. I'm going to have to unshare the screen first. Okay, I'm going to try show it because I just cannot show broker names. That's the only issue. But I went in 25 minis on this trade, which is freaking ridiculous size. But I would never recommend, obviously, like that was in hindsight, it was stupid of me to do that. But I was just because of the amount of sell volume in the market today, I was like, nah, this is gonna work. This is doing it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can draw out the broker name. I can block it out with this pen tool. You see, I can draw, so I can just load up the cash account and then, block out the broker name. So let me unshare the screen real quick. Grab the cash account over onto the main screen. Now get the Epic Pen. Just blur out the broker name. That's company. Can't show that. All right. Now I can reshare. This is such a stupid freaking. This is so dumb. 25 minis. I made 21K on it. So freaking insane. But yeah, I shorted it hard, and then I got in a bit of drawdown, and I was a bit like, oh god, this is that. I'm not gonna lie, because I was 25 minis deep. It was a bit rocky for me, and then boom, 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 as it dropped, and as soon as I saw the pressure stop, I was like, nah, I'm happy, I'm out, and I'm kind of glad. I do still think we're probably going to drop more, so maybe I'm not going to put 25 minis on, but maybe I'll drop 5 or 10 minis in this range if we get to the top of it. And I haven't analyzed the footprint yet, but oh my god, great way to end the week on my cash. Freaking hell, that was scary though. I'm going to stop, move it away, and let's analyze the market. I'm still a bit shaky from that, I'm not gonna lie. But all right, stop sharing, move the cash account away. We can get rid of that. But what a trade, man. What a trade. The movement from the sellers then were absolutely fantastic. I gotta say, they came in with vengeance. They pushed that market down because all this movement up, I was waiting for the right time to short it, the right time to short it. And then it happened. And I just about caught the top. There was this one candle here. I shorted it mainly because I just saw the numbers of the buy side start struggling massively. And I was like, yep, we were in a gap as well. I was like, this has to be the top. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, I'll it's not the end of the world. 25 minis right there. And then this candle happened, and that shook me a little bit. I was like, oh, God. I was like, don't you dare. And then the sellers came in, and I was like, okay, we're doing okay. And it was a bit of chop. And then out of nowhere, these freaking sellers came in hard. I love these sellers right here, these 500. And I was like, okay, this is good. Boom, 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 boom. Started plummeting down. We tapped into a little gap. And then the moment I started seeing the rejection, I cashed out. I was like, no more. That's not good for my health here. This is not good for my heart, having to deal. But potentially I could short it again. Let me just look at this range here on the cumulative. So we started the range at minus or negative 9,140. We're at negative 9,100. So it's completely flat. But I do still think we're dropping. I think that was just a little push up from the buyers, profit taking. I don't think this is going to be a serious reversal. I don't think we're going back up. I think this is let me just redraw some of these. I did take it on the Ola Prime account as well, with a bit more size than micros, 10 micros for 1 mini. But I got a different entry on the Ola Prime because I was focusing more on the cash. But either way, worked out all right. Man, what a freaking move. What a freaking move. You think we'll go lower? I personally, I do think we probably will. But I'm not seeing it in the volume yet. That's the only thing. I'm not seeing it in the volume. I'm not seeing it in this range yet. We're completely flat and perfectly balanced right now in the range. The only plus side to for the sellers is the fact there was a bit of buy pressure at the top, but that doesn't really mean much at this moment in time. But I do still think we're going down. If I start seeing the balance of, like an imbalance, if I start seeing that even though we're going sideways, more buyers are coming in, for example, but unable to push it up, then I'd be happy to short it again. But this is perfect balance right now based on the volume. There's been as many buyers as sellers, and we've just gone sideways. So both sides are perfectly as efficient as each other, meaning it could be anyone's game. Sorry, I'm just on a bit of a high right now because 20 freaking thousand. 22 well, minus commission, basically 22 grand in that trade. Oh, there's a party this weekend. Booked in $266 tonight, PH time. Is that Philippine time? Thanks. Excellent stuff, man. JC draws, well done. Thomas says, insane trade, man. Good job. Wish we could have seen it live. Thank you. Yeah, I know. Literally, as I got off the interview, I looked at the market, started looking, which, you know what? I think the interview somewhat saved me as well from potentially shorting this market at the wrong time, because I was in the interview all this time, and then we ended. And as I looked at the charts, I just happened to see this, because there's a good chance I probably would have shorted it here as well, but I was in the interview. So that, I think, definitely, I would have got chopped up a little bit if I wasn't in this interview and not and trading. But I just happened to end the interview pretty much at the perfect time. saw the opportunity, jumped in, and yeah, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm still like the adrenaline is still running. Because even for me, I mean, honestly, 25 minis is no joke. Yeah, I'm not prepared to, and that's why it was stupid of me to do. Normally I've done 25 minis before, but I've done it in scales, right? So normally I load up 5 minis, depending on the market of how volatile it is, and then I'll jump in. And then if it starts going a bit better, I'll jump in again and kind of scale in, and I can go up to 25 minis comfortably if the trade is, but it's very rare that happens, right? Very, very rare. And then I'll trail aggressively. But here I just went in 25 on like straight up. Like I didn't scale in, which was, I don't know what I was thinking in that moment, but like, lucky it worked out, because if that didn't work out, that would have been, I wouldn't be smiling right now. I'd be all like, fuck, Oh, yeah, I'm not doing that again. I'm definitely not doing that again, because that was silly. That was stupid. It's these sellers here. They freaking saved my ass, because I got in like here, and then we had this drawdown. And I know it's not a lot of drawdown. We're only looking at 13 points, but it moved quick. It was like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, oh, that's not good. And then instantly, all right, we kind of went back into profit, and then we kind of went back into drawdown, and then these sellers came in. See, what would have been a smarter play for me would be to initially put in 5 minis here, let it play out, and then once I see that 500, yeah, okay, I can start looking at, putting a lot more size. And as we start, yeah, absolutely, pile on the rest of the orders there, and then have a stop just above, maybe here. That would have been the smarter play. Once I saw that confirmation, then pile in the contracts, which, but next time I'll be a bit more smarter. But it worked out. It worked out. That was a slight bit of gambling there. Let's see what the cumulative is saying. We're still in this range. We haven't gone anywhere. We started at negative 9,140. We're at negative 9,220. It's still flat. There's like 100 contracts in difference. We're still very much flat. It's anyone's game at this moment in time. Damn. The adrenaline is still there. Oh, there's a lot of adrenaline. I'm kind of in a great mood right now. I'm ready to just trade, I'm ready to put on a bit of size, be a bit more. I'm in the zone. Freaking hell. I still look at that trade and what was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking? Is this the move? Is this potentially the breakout? Could be. I don't want to short it at the bottom of a range without. It might be. If it is, then I've kind of missed it slightly. I'm good. I'm good. How's everyone else doing? Hope you all had a good little break. I'm still like, yeah. The adrenaline. It's crazy how you can get adrenaline from trading. Like you're not doing anything. You're just sitting there. You know, it's not like you're jumping out of a plane or, you know, your body's in no real danger, yet somehow you get that adrenaline, man. And that's what's dangerous about it because it's addictive. You know, it's such a fine line between gambling and kind of, you know, making educated guesses. Because essentially it's always gambling. It's always going to be gambling because there's no guarantee. But it's such a fine line trading because it can be so addictive. That's the dangerous part. You know, you don't want to be addicted to that action. Because now, even now, like I want to jump back in. Just made 20 grand. Like I don't need to jump back in. I can stop. But there's a part of me, like I want more. I want more action. I want that feeling again. So you got to tell yourself, like, stop being an idiot for 2 seconds and just think about it logically for a minute. Is it worth risking? You know, like, yeah, if you see a really good setup, all right, fine, take it. But like, there's a part of me that wants to short right now. Even though I'm not seeing anything, I'm not really actually seeing any reason to short, apart from we're somewhat higher up on this tiny range. But if we look at this range right now, it's still flat. We're at 9.3. We were at what, 9.1 when we started the range, roughly. Yeah, about 9. If anything, it's more in the favor of the buyers, but I think that's just this little fake out that's skewed the data a bit. But let's see if we can. Ooh, that's a good click. See if we can get a trade on this range. That would be great. Question is, do I cash account it? If it's really good, I'll do another 5 minis. I'll be happy with that. That can, like, 5 minis is not that much. If I'm wrong, I lose a few thousand. It's not a big deal. I've got the balance. But 25? No. Hell no. I full ported my cash account. I can't believe I did that. As long as I don't make it a habit, it's all right. As long as I don't make it a habit. So as long as I don't keep full porting, that's the quickest way of losing everything. It's just died. What's going on? Come on. Give me some action. I think the sellers have got this. They're coming in with a bit of size. I know it's technically still, you know, if we go back up near the top of the range, I'll go in short. Because then literally I can have a trade where, you know, if I enter here, I can have a stop here. And if we do break to the downside, we're breaking down. You know, we're at least doing another leg down. So the risk reward is worth it. It is a tight range. I am still more in the favor of the sellers as a whole. Come on, give me one little reversion back up. Give me one little push back up so I can potentially enter. I don't want to short the bottom of the range because that's bad. Full port Fridays, Rex says. Yep, full port Fridays. I'm just a complete moron for doing that. You know what, Lisa? I think this is potentially the breakout. Buyers are trading at the top of each candle. All right, I'm going in 1 mini on Ola Prime. Let's see if we can make our way all the way back down. I think could be the breakout here. Because realistically speaking, the only reason it's just a pattern, right? You've got buyers, you know, at the top of each candle, unable to push it, and then relatively decent sell pressure coming in. So I'm I'm expecting the sellers to at least push it down a little bit. I'm just going to mark out the next area where we could have issues. I don't think it's going to make another move up to the top of the range. If it does, it does. What can you do? But I think this could be the actual breakout. Come on. It's starting to look like a false breakout now, with all these sellers getting trapped at the bottom. I don't want it to be a false breakout. It's no good to me. Give me a real breakout. There we go. Load this up. Yeah, the next area really. Oops, shit, what have I done? I would say down here. 800 will do. I don't like the fact that there's a lot of sell volume at the bottom of this wick. I don't like it. We need to, travel below them. It's a necessity. It's necessary. If we don't, this could be a little bit of an issue. But the good news is buyers are trying to come in, but all right, they're coming in weak. Relatively low volume, but look, that's 100 contracts there already, and they're not really pushing it up. That means the sellers are willing to absorb, and just as I said that, they came in with another 100. So I'm going to hold it for a bit. I think it might just retest the bottom of the range and go, but if we break this main candle here, or even kind of get above the initial sell volume here, I'm going to start looking at potentially this could be a false breakout. Because these buyers are coming in quite aggressively. They're not ready to give up yet. Typical for the buyers. Always buying that dip, aren't they? Always buying the dip. These damn buyers. All right, let's see what happens. So we're back at the bottom of the range. If we don't see rejection really, or some kind of failure here, then I'm going to get out. Because then I think that was just a false breakout, and we're potentially going up. Then, yeah, you can see the buy volume is just doing quite well. Yeah, look, not happening. That was a false breakout. So we're going to get out of that trade because no good trade. And potentially, we could jump in again, but we'll have to see what happens here. Bum, ba-da, bum, ba-da, ba-da, bum. See if the sellers can take it. Let's see if the sellers can regain control. I'm going to move that over there. All right, we're at that point of control. Let's see if that has any effect. Yeah, it's just dip buyers. Buying the dip. Had a bit of a breakout, a bit of a false breakout, and then dip buyers came in. But, I'd be surprised if we actually go up. I do think it's still okay for a sell. Just think I got in at a bad price, but it could change very quickly if these buyers just keep coming in, and they start traveling above the range. And yeah, all right, fine, like we're going up, but it's just these sellers that failed so quickly. That was a clear false breakout. Looks like a short to me. Not enough passive orders at higher prices. Yeah, I still think it's short. I think it was just a little bit of a false breakout. We might get to the point of control, and then fresh sellers come in potentially. We've got to trade again, but it is what it is. We'll just wait. Yeah, I mean that's a lot of passive sell limits. Maybe touch and bounce on the VWAP. Yes. I haven't got the VWAP actually up here. I used to have it. I don't know why I didn't. There it is. I've got it favorited. Yeah, it could very well. Could very well. Just want to see a bit of failure. You know? Fail for me. I want to see some failure. 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 So far, the buyers are still doing okay considering the little volume that they have in the market. They're doing all right. It's just so slow right now. That move, though, the way it just dropped, it's just beautiful. I might jump in 1 min again, a mini. I think we might. Instantly, buyers came in as soon as I jumped in. Typical. If this point of control doesn't hold, then yeah, then it ain't it. It ain't it. And then we could go to like who was it? Joe Airy? Joe? I'm just gonna call you Joe. We could go to back to VWAP and go a bit higher up, maybe double top on here, but technically we did have a double top. I still think it's on the shorts. It's just being silly, you know. Bit of sell pressure coming in, but you see the buyers just buying the dip. But as long as they don't remain effective, let's absorb them. Let's just blow through them. Let's just be a bit more aggressive. Let's get a real breakout. Oh, that was a good click. If you heard that, whole arm just. Realistically speaking, if these 74 buys, if this basically is candle here, if we travel above it again, then I'd have to get out. So my stop can pretty much be above that candle now. I don't really want to be rising above where those initial sellers came in, because these are the guys who initiated potentially the move. If they can't defend, or other people come in and also short in this area and push this market down, then we're gonna have to wait for the next potential move, essentially. So realistically speaking, I can have a stop not far away now. I'll put it above this candle here, give it a bit more breathing room, but it should be okay. As long as these sellers keep coming in, we should be all right. Quite like that volume coming in. Don't get absorbed. Don't get absorbed. Yeah, I'm closing my cash account today. I'm not trading anymore on the cash. I'll just trade the Ola Prime account. But that trade, man. Come on, what's going on? Did they just get all absorbed here? Are you kidding me? Come on. You were doing so well. These sellers came in so aggressive, so nice. You know, they really wanted to push the market down. Then they just decided, not really interested anymore. Just gonna chill, do nothing. Where's that passion? Where's that aggression? Like, we had 500 contracts traded, which is massive amounts. Look at that, 500 right at the top here. I want these sellers to come back in again. I want these guys to do their thing. I want them to re-enter. You know, right here. Push that market down. But there's so many dip buyers. This is the thing. So many dip buyers. I'm going to drop the ticks per row to 12, make it a bit more easier to see. It's not enough real data to kind of make a, we're again completely flat. Like, we started this little tiny range that we got going here. I know it's only 4 candles, but we started at negative 9,530. We're negative 9,520. We are completely flat. We've been flat for a while in terms of volume. Occasionally there's a burst of volume from either side, but even this whole range here was flat. It's perfectly balanced, which essentially means there's no absorption. Like, there's no massive icebergs, accumulating an order, either exiting the market or building up a new order. When it's completely flat, I mean, technically you could say it's 2 institutions, or both sides are absorbing each other as, equally. I mean, that technically could be true, but it's more unlikely. It's just not. There's no real there's no icebergs essentially in the market. Look at this. We're going back up again. Again, bit of a failure here. Look at these 93 coming in. I'm going to keep my stop where it is because it really matters, It's not great volume. Don't get me wrong. It's only 50 contracts and another 51, but they're clustered together. They started that kind of move. If I make the ticks per row smaller, I could probably see, the little cluster. You can it's not great, but I actually want to see that 500 that entered earlier. I want to see their cluster because that's interesting. What's up here? Yeah, right there. That was a big order right there, aggressively filled. But the thing is, look, these guys will still be in the market. They're still going to want to push this market down. It will be very unlikely, unless they're out the market, which I don't think they are, because I haven't really seen massive volume. Potentially, they dropped out passively in this range here, potentially. But if they did it, they broke their order in very small bits, because there was no real kind of obvious sign. But these guys are going to still be in the market. It's very unlikely we're going to break above them if they're in the market. They're going to still want to short this market and get it down. So if they feel uncomfortable at any point, they're probably very comfortable right now. I mean, they're still, if you entered up here, you're not really panicking right now, right? It hasn't really gone against you, right? But if there is a drift up, hypothetically, and they're still in the market, they're going to start defending probably more aggressively as we get closer to their position. They'll start piling on a bit of size to try and get this market down. They probably won't wait for it to actually go to their entry. They'll probably start a bit earlier on. So I think as a whole, it's still pretty safe for a short. It's just whether you time it right with, the pullbacks, because you can get in short, like here, But do you want to hold that pullback like I did earlier? Probably not, right? Here we go. Here's a bit of aggression coming in. And here's the move. All right. Took a bit of a while. They wanted to mess around for a bit. But yeah, where those sellers that started the move, these guys that started this little move down, potentially, they seem to defend quite well. They absorbed a bunch of buyers. Buyers tried to come in heavy. They couldn't quite get it up. I wasn't really watching exactly in that moment of what was occurring. What is this? I didn't see what happened at the bottom here. I didn't see if this number got big and it got absorbed. I didn't actually look. I was looking away. But that, I don't like that. I don't like, that sudden move up. I don't like it. I mean, we've got 170 here. They're pretty low down, so they're vulnerable. But so I can't imagine they'll really hold. But again, this 64, these guys here, they're just buying the dip, these damn buyers. This is not going to be a smooth, easy trade. This is going to just constantly have this kind of, buyers buying the dip every time we drop down. Realistically speaking, I mean, as much as I'd love for it to plummet a bit more, I might get out. I can always re-enter. I'm gonna get out, re-enter if there's a better, if there's another wave of sellers that come in and try. It's just there's too much buy aggression. It's not. I say it's buy aggression. It really isn't that much buyers. I mean, it's relatively small, but there's just not a lot of volume in the market. So when it's relatively thin, it's easy to move the market because there's not much competition right now. That's why I like higher volume. What is the indicator called with the numbers? So it's not an indicator. It's a chart type. Okay, it's called a footprint chart. You can get it on TradingView, but you can also get it on like so many different charting, order flow related softwares. So take your pick. But essentially, it's a chart type. Where you can select the candles, line graph, all that stuff. There's volume footprint on TradingView as well. But there are some caveats to it. Okay. You need the upgraded version of TradingView to actually get access to it. And then even if you do have the upgraded version, if you're not trading future instruments, anything from the CME, the data you're getting is just tick data. It's just not made up, but it's not real volume, right? So you want to make sure, or you actually need a CME subscription as well. So you got to go to tradingview.com, scroll to the bottom, you'll see CME futures, something like that, and you can subscribe to the data feed, and then you will get real-time data, real volume data as well, but it has to be from the CME, right? It can also be from like COMEX for like gold. That's included. That's fine, but you can't like trade NAS 100 CFDs like from Pepperstone or whatever. Actually, I mentioned the broker, because what you're seeing here is just made up. Well, it's not made up. It's just tick data, right? So it just counts the ticks. So this isn't contracts being bought or sold. This is just ticks, which is better than nothing. Don't get me wrong. I'd still rather use a tick volume footprint than. But like where that massive order was, right? Here it doesn't show it, right? Because it's just tick volume, right? So you can see like on this candle, there's nothing there. But if you go to the NQ, to the actual CME where the exchange is, and you get the real volume, you see the real volume and aha. Do you know what I mean? So you want to use the real volume. You don't want to use tick volume footprints. All right. So you got to only trade the futures. You can't trade CFDs with it. I mean, you can still trade CFDs, but you can analyze on the futures. Does that make sense? And then use a CFD broker or something to execute. The chart is identical, right? So you can still execute on a CFD platform. But yeah, the data. There's actually a link, not a link, sorry. There's actually a video on my channel. It's titled "How to Set Up the Volume Footprint on TradingView," and that shows, from start to finish, about 20 minutes long, but it's a full tutorial on how to do it. It's pretty simple. So feel free to watch that, and that will explain it all. Solo trader. There's more actually. Sorry. Or use CFD real-time data for free. Yeah, but solo trade. That's not volume data though. Do you see what I mean? Like these numbers you're seeing, they're not. This is actually, I can go to buy and sell footprint, and I can see there were 61 contracts sold, 40 contracts bought. That's actual contracts. And when it's futures, so this is the E-mini, right? So it's NQ, not MNQ, but you can see an MNQ as well. So like on a future, when you click buy one contract, it will actually appear. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's showing. It's showing the actual contracts traded. So it's not tick data, it's real volume data, and that's what makes it valuable, Let me go back to Delta real quick. So what else? Do you have any tutorials on how you trade like this? Yes and no. I'm in the process of making many, but if you look at the videos on my channel, I do a lot of trade breakdowns. So trades I have taken, and then I break it down. Like I haven't really taken many trades today. I've only I took one on my cash. I did actually take it on the Ola Prime account, but I didn't take it as well. I took it better on my cash account, and I kind of break down. So for example, I'll show that trade, and then I'll break down what I saw, why I entered, the logic behind it. So I have videos like that, trade breakdown videos, where you can pretty much see how I trade. But I will be doing like more in-depth videos where I kind of do like strategy videos. Do you know what I mean? So that's coming very soon. Can you tell me how you draw fixed range volume profile? Which range you consider when drawing it? Absolutely. So fixed range volume profile. The way I do it is I do it on any leg. Okay, I'm going to go to. Let me just get a fresh chart, because, in fact, I can use a CFD for this, right? So if I do NAS 100, right, on a CFD platform, and I make it candlesticks, just so it's easy, right? What I do, because the volume profile, though it does measure volume, it's actually more of a measurement of time, okay? Because the only reason, like for example, if I draw the volume profile from here to here, where did price spend the most time? Well, it spent the most time here, right? So this will be the point of control, almost guaranteed, right? And boom, point of control's there, right? Because it's more of a measurement of time than volume, okay? The only reason there's high volume areas is because price spent a lot of time there, right? And you can actually see why. Look, it spent a bunch of time there, bunch of time, bit more time there, and a bit more time there. So that's actually the highest volume. And then this is also quite high volume. This is going to be high volume. Any consolidation is basically high volume, right? So the way I draw the volume profile, this is anchored, by the way. My bad. I didn't even. I used to anchored. I draw it from any leg. So we had a leg up, so I do it from the low to the high. Let me just get rid of extend right, because there it is, right? From the low to the high. And then I look for any kind of gaps in volume, right? So straight away, you see high volume there, and then the volume just drops off, and the lowest node is right there, yeah? So I would draw that node out. and then there's one below it as well, another little gap right there, and then there's one down there as well, another little gap, and then there's another one right at the bottom. So those would be my levels as we start coming down and retrace. Those will be my levels to potentially buy off, or if it breaks through, comes back on the other side and continues, right? So that's the two ways. So we can kind of see what happened here, right? These two levels are very close together. It initially rejected a little bit, but not much, and then it blew right through, rejected off here, came back on the other side of the other one, and then continued, right? So those would be my levels. And it kind of did it again. Once it blew through this one, it came back into it and then right through, right? And those are kind of my levels of, oh, there is a little tiny gap here. It's not great, but there's a bit of a gap there. You can see how the volume's bigger here, and then bigger here, and then smaller here. So there's a little bit of a gap. The reason it doesn't look as good is because there was a bit of consolidation beforehand, but it's basically measuring this move up. This is what created the gap. And then, yeah, those would be the areas where I would look to, trade off. And the reason low volume nodes is because low volume nodes are actually high volume. And I know that doesn't make any sense, but you're going to have to use the footprint for this. So if I, for example, go to the 1 minute and just pick out. Okay, so we did a low volume. We did a volume profile. Let me just get rid of this volume profile and redraw it, right? So this moved down, right? If I just draw it out, all the way down, you can see the lowest volume node is right there, okay? Now, the reason that node is the lowest volume is because price didn't spend much time there. That was the quickest, like the least amount of time on the chart where price was at. So this little area here, it didn't spend much time, meaning it kind of shot right through very quickly, right? And why does price shoot really quickly through something? It's because there was large volume or a big order placed probably a bit before it. So there's a high chance, without even looking at the footprint yet, there's a high chance there's probably a big order somewhere here. Potentially it could be below it, because sometimes if it gaps, TradingView will place the order, will say it was placed here just because it gapped and it was too quick and it couldn't fill it. But somewhere between there will probably be big orders. So if I switch, you can actually see, if I make the footprint just a bit bigger so you can see the clusters a bit easier, right? You can see right there, big order, right? 300 contracts, and that sparked a quick move down essentially, right? And then some of the volume got spilled over as well because it happened very quick. So sometimes it misplaces it. But yeah, and that is why low volume nodes, especially trapped between two heavier volume nodes, is actually more of an indication of big orders, big institutional orders, than high volume nodes. High volume nodes just means consolidation, essentially. That's literally all it means. Price was there for a long time. It's more of a measurement of time than it is volume. So you're looking for low volume nodes to see where price didn't spend much time because it probably gapped, especially if you're, looking at like a move down or a move up. That's essentially all it is, right? So that's why I would, draw that out. And there's a good chance if we got back up there, those sellers might defend, enter again, whatever, and try push the price down. Okay. And if they're not any more interested or not in the market anymore, especially if it's happened a while ago, it could just blow right through, and it just becomes basically nothing. But yeah, that's the logic behind it. Basically, that's the reason I do low volume nodes. Okay, thanks. We'll look into it. We'll check the video out. No problem. Is volume inside candle? Yeah. So the volume on the footprint, you can basically see the volume inside a candle. You can even even if you don't want to learn really how to trade the footprint, there's another way you can trade the footprint. If you very much like the volume profile, you can basically do a volume profile on the footprint, right? So let me show you. Give me a second. So you want to go to profile and then do total volume. We can make this a bit smaller, like 12 or something. And you basically have a volume footprint. Now, a lot of people like the not volume footprint, a volume profile for each candle. So a lot of people like seeing the kind of shape. It's probably not that useful in the 1 minute chart, I'll be honest. But a lot of people, like to kind of see just where the distribution of volume is. Just so they squint their eyes a bit and they can kind of see, right, bigger volume there, big pluck of volume there, lack of volume there, and then big volume, it went up, right? This might be, support if we tap into it, especially as a scalper. This could potentially be support. No, okay, blew right through, but it became then resistance. People, it's not how I trade, but some people like to use it just basically create a volume profile for each candle. Probably works better on higher time frames than 1 minute charts. But yeah, you can do a lot of things with the footprint that I personally just like the delta. I like to see the difference. That to me, and then I just look for real time absorption, all that kind of stuff. Can you tell me which round I'll answer that thing? I see you using Ola Prime funding. So, Bizza Roman, full disclosure, I actually work for Ola Prime. Okay. So I work for Ola Prime. I lead their UK operations. I've been with them before Ola Prime was Ola Prime. So of course I'm going to say they're amazing. I have to, but genuinely we are decent. Like as a prop firm, genuinely, even if I didn't work for them, I would recommend them. They are genuinely a very good prop firm. But yeah, full disclosure, of course I've got to mention it. So that's why I can't mention any other brand names. As you can imagine, I can't talk about any other prop firms, even brokers. I can't talk about, like, even when it comes to my cash account. I'd love to show you my cash account. Can't do it because I showed it earlier in the screen and I blurred out the broker name, but it's just a bit of a faff, But on my Instagram, because it's a lot easier to do it, I can just hide it with my finger or something, right? But on live, it's a bit more difficult to hide stuff. But on my Instagram, I do show occasionally like my cash account, different things, blah 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 blah. But yeah, well worth giving us a shot. You're welcome. You're welcome. Look at it depending on how you're using it in your trading. Can you show us your P&L? So this account is no longer active. We're Project X. We're dropping Project X, Ola Prime. Mainly because of the stability issues and stuff. A lot of prop firms are doing the same. I'm sure if any of you guys have used Project X recently, you know that I don't want to talk shit about other companies and stuff. So I'm going to be respectful here, but they've had some issues. Let's put it that way. So we no longer support Project X. So my whole account, this is just like, this is not even real anymore. All my funds and everything is moving over, but I'm waiting for. We currently have DX Futures, but I want a different platform. So we're coming out with Ninja Trader, obviously Rhythmic, and TraderVate as well. We're going to be offering. So I'm waiting. It should be any day now. We'll have those platforms. So once that happens, I'll have my account back basically. So right now, like, this is just demo. So yeah, I could full port my account right now. It literally doesn't mean anything. Right? And it's just a demo, just for the live stream as all the accounts get moved over. That means there are different ways to look at it depending on how you're using it in your trading. Yes, exactly. You can, it just gives you more of a, it gives you a better picture of what is happening, especially if you're quite patient, and you can use it on higher time frames as well. You don't have to scalp with footprint and footprint trading, Um, I see on your website it says note the maximum trading drawdown is 4% for 25 and 50K accounts purchased on or after January 19th, 2026. So better to wait till the 19th. Are you looking at futures or forex? I think I'm on the future side, so I'm not fully up to date. Again, like futures. Let me double check. Um, this probably doesn't look good on me that even if I wasn't aware of that. But yeah, if we're changing it, because they're constantly, there's I'm not into like the day-to-day operations of stuff like that. That's all the business team and stuff. I'm not part of that team. So unless I don't check, I wouldn't know myself, to be honest. Um, oops, I clicked the wrong thing. But yeah, I mean, where does it say that? I'll check it after. But yeah, if that's what it says, then and better to wait till the 19th because you get a better drawdown limit. Absolutely. Why not wait till the 19th? That's absolutely fine. Oh, okay. You're in the Q and A's. I'll check it after. But yeah, yeah, might as well wait for the 19th then, because a lot is changing. Mainly because like we're dropping, like I said, dropping Project X, which is a shame because I like the Project X platform. I genuinely do like it. I think it's a very like it's a decent platform all in all, you know. But it's just the stability of it. Um, it's just unacceptable. There was a time recently where it was like 1 minute different. So on Project X, like if you were on TradingView or any other platform, it will be real time. But Project X will be showing this candle right now. So anyone could basically see and predict what the next 1 minute candle would be. And it's like, that's mental. like, and then there was another bug where if you just entered and exited, you would automatically make money. It was complete shit show. And for all the prop firms that use that platform, we had a tough time because all of a sudden we're going to have to go through thousands of different orders, remove ones that are obviously because of like a bug, like the whole order bug, right, where you just enter an order and an exit and you magically make hundreds of dollars, and then also try and figure out which ones are like it was just such a headache, right? So after that, every prop firm was like, nah, like you need to sort this out, Project X. You can't. But oh well. All right, we're pushing up. Let's see what's happened here. Uh oh, we almost got to that gap. It one ticked us. Oh no, technically it probably did touch. I've got it drawn a little bit off. No, it didn't touch. Almost one ticked us on that gap for a potential. So that's why these low volume nodes, or gaps as I call them, um, are very, very useful. Is there consistency on evals? There's a consistency on the direct account and funded, I believe. I know that. I'm not sure if the valuation has the consistency. Let me just double check for you. So if we do futures, we'll just do a 50K account. Check the trading rules, because the direct account 100%, yes, that's got a consistency rule. But here it is, trading rules. Profit target, consistency rule to pass the challenge as well. Has to request a pay on Ola Prime count the consistent. Yeah, there is a consistency rule. Yeah, 40%. Yeah, Roman said it. Bizarre Roman. When you find daily, weekly, monthly, open, do they tend to be in low volume nodes or high volume nodes? So what, the open, high, low, close of daily, weekly, monthly? Honestly, I don't know. I've never really checked, if I'm honest. I only draw the volume profile based on, legs, but we can have a look. If I go to like the NAS one, I just get a clean chart and just remove all this and then go to like a daily. All right. And then I'm just going to switch to candlesticks, 'cause it's a bit easier to load. So on the daily, I mean, we've just pushed up since April, right? But I guess you can kind of, where was the last bit of kind of sideways movement here? And then we broke out. So I guess I can draw, and then up to the top here. And I'll look for the low volume nodes. One here. I've never really done it on a daily, if I'm honest. So yeah, they don't quite close below. I mean, it's a bit kind of, I guess. I don't know. You can play around with it and see if you can find any kind of edge. I mean, I guess on the weekly, I guess technically you can say it closed above. And then monthly, God knows. I mean, let's have a look. A monthly is just a wick, but it will probably work best on more kind of markets that aren't just so bullish like the Nasdaq. Because overall, in the long term, I mean, it's just bullish, right? I know we've had a few corrections and a small crash, but for the most part, it's such a bullish market. You'll be waiting ages for those corrections to come in, and But if you do it from like the real start of the leg, you can see where the low volume nodes are, right? Like there's one right there, and that's kind of the one that held above. And if we look at like this crash, this would be probably a good one. So if we start, from here where the leg really started, all the way to the top of it, let's see. Yeah. So there's a clear low volume node. There's a few that it blew through, to be honest. But the one it eventually rejected off and bounced off, there's a few. There's one there where a correction happened and it continued. And then there's one below it, which is the one it eventually, from that last year where we had that minor crash. And then there's more at the bottom here, but we obviously didn't go that low. Right? We didn't drop that far down. And to pass the challenge as well to request a payout. Oh, okay, he's just saying, I like the project accounts as well. No worries, I just thought you would know, because that is a very specific way of drawing support resistance using low volume nodes. Yeah, you'd be surprised. I mean, they are freakishly accurate. They really are freakishly accurate. So, I mean, that would have been, great. Like this whole move down, and then okay, look. I mean, this is the daily chart. You would have been holding this position for months. This is a position holder, a position type trader. That's not me, but if you're, for example, more intraday scalper, 15-minute chart is great, and you kind of just want to find like where the real moves start. There's like big push down and we start pushing up. All right, this is the move. And then whenever you get that, it's basically like Fibonacci. Draw it like Fibonacci, right? If you know how to use the Fibonacci tool, then you know how to use the volume profile tool, right? And then where's the high? The high is about here. And then you just look, where are all the low volume nodes, right? So there's one there. It's a bit higher up. And then you got another one. The best one, I would say, is all the way down here. Like, this is a beautiful low volume node. And you got another one down there. You draw them out and you'll see them as areas of, support and resistance. There are a few more. There's like another one there. But let's just see, what happened. All right. So there was a bit of a rejection there. But if you're a scalper, for example, like myself, that's good enough. Like, it's not the biggest rejection in the world, but I can certainly make money from, as a scalper, that's 220 points. I'm only looking to grab like 30, 40 points. That's a beautiful scalp right there, done. Now, if you're obviously more of a swing trader, intraday trader, yeah, fine. That's going to be a bit more difficult, because you're probably going to be targeting these highs and you'll get stopped out. So, but then you're going to get, once in a while, you're going to get bigger trades, right? And I didn't quite get to that level, but if you really kind of look at it, the whole low volume really it's kind of two nodes in one. There's the bigger volume. It's a bit more of a bigger area. You have to kind of use your eye a bit, but didn't quite get there, so probably no trade. But yeah, you're just kind of looking, you're looking for like clear defined legs. That's not really a nice leg, but you can still draw it. You might be able to get a few scalps out of it, if we end up in any kind of like obvious low volume node, like that one there. All right, that was a Friday market close, so we just gapped up. So by the time, a bit different. But it came back on the other side and then it continued. And obviously you want to delete them as time goes on. You don't want to keep them all on the chart. And then recently, this has just been chaos. So, right. So this is very hard to kind of trade because you have to really think, where is, there's a leg there, a bit of a leg, but it's so choppy and messy. Do you know what I mean? You're looking for, we've just been in a really nasty range recently. So this becomes a bit more difficult to start trading. So you really just have to, like when you're drawing out these legs, we're just looking for quick moves and potentially scalps, but that's just doesn't look great. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't really work on the ranging market. You want real kind of movement for these to work, and like this, it just didn't work. Do you know what I mean? Technically, yeah, all right. You could see it. Where's the path tool? We blew right through. We touched it from the other side and continued. That's always, it's one or the other. Either rejects or it does that. So if you enter and you get stopped out, that's if you're entering blindlessly. Like if you use the footprint alongside it, that can definitely tell you whether there's going to be rejection in that area, yes or no, right? But if you're just blindlessly entering intraday every time it gets to a node and you do like, whatever, then all right, fine. That would have failed. You would have got stopped out. But then when it comes back on the other side, you just flip. Do you know what I mean? And then you target, whatever, maybe these highs here. So if you're really disciplined, you can make it work. But I wouldn't recommend to trade it like that. I would definitely add another level of confirmation, another level of, like the footprint, another level of confirmation. So here, it was actually the point of control price sparked off. And sometimes the point of control is, strong enough to make a reversal as well. That does happen too. But if you just backtest as a whole and draw out every leg, the majority of reversals occur at low volume nodes. And that's literally all it is. Okay. Go back to NQ. I do it also from pivot to pivot. Yeah. Most people do ledgers. Some people do high volume nodes, but are not that accurate as you just drew it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like it's you want to you want to add a few confluences into your trading, there's not one thing that's always going to work, like, and that's just sadly how it is, but if you add it to the footprint, it can definitely help, because you don't just want to trade a footprint based on just purely the numbers. You can do that, but it's a lot more difficult. This is the 15-minute chart, right? You can do it like that, but if you're in like low volume node areas, and then you're seeing, like, this is the 15-minute chart, there's a big low volume node. All right, bunch of sellers came in, huge sell volume, 1,700 extra. You could see, the big sell volume coming in. We start trading above them. Interesting, right? Bit of buy volume coming in, and as buy aggression starts coming in, you can start looking at potentially entering. Like, this is more intraday. This is the 15-minute chart, but I do the exact same thing just on the 1-minute chart, essentially, as a scalper. But you have to be willing to accept less movement, right? And you have to be willing that if it looks like the momentum is shifting and it's turning against you, be willing just to exit the market. Like, if you sold here and you start seeing that momentum shift and the sellers are not very effective and they're getting absorbed, all right, fine. And you start seeing aggressive buyers come in, probably a good idea to get out the market. Just be willing to exit as a scalper. You don't want to always hold, and hope for the best. Your best kind of superpower as a scalper is being able to be fluid with the market. If you see something that doesn't look good on your, and you're in profit, better take that money, and you can always jump back in again. That's the beauty of scalping, right? It's so easy to find an entry. But yeah, with intraday, I can understand why people want to hold for the whole, till their TP, because you're not finding that many opportunities. So, you really want to make the most of each trade. But as a scalper, you can just in, out, whenever you see it. You can do this on a 15-second chart. I wouldn't recommend it because that's going to give you a headache, but you can do it, like, I mean, the volume is pretty shit right now. Everything's kind of dying off, but like, you're just looking for efficiency, like which side of the market is more efficient at any point. So I'm just going to move this to 8, and you're more looking at how the footprint develops in real time, right? So we can see there's -3, -8, -32, but they're not really pushing it down. Interesting. All right, they're putting in a lot of size, but they're starting to struggle a bit. If a bit of buyers come in, we're still at -38, 45. Sellers are still adding more volume. So you want to start seeing that drop, that number. Instantly, -16, buyers coming in. Do you see what I mean? Like, you can, now you're going to get stopped out a hell of a lot of times, right? If you're doing it on a 15-second chart, because realistically speaking, what happens on the 15-second chart is probably not going to spark off massive moves, okay? But if you're looking for a few points, when you saw that and you entered, probably get 5 points out of it. Maybe you can get a bit more, okay? And you're out. All right, you just grabbed yourself 5 points. Just 15 seconds by looking at the real-time supply and demand. That's why I used a delta, because I can see, I don't just look at the final digit of what it closes. I like to see what the maximum is, So we were +10, now we're -25. That's a lot of sellers coming in. Back down to -11. That means another 10 buyers came in, and you're kind of keeping a rough mental tally of what's going on. And you can kind of know, who's getting absorbed, who's not. But the worst thing to do is chase high volume when you're trading the footprint. If you just chase high volume, you're going to get chopped up every single time. But it's better to do it probably on like a 1-minute or 5-minute chart. 15 seconds, stuff like that. That's like, you got to be super quick and extremely switched on. You need to be like high on cocaine or something to be able to do that. Like, it's just next level. You need to be really switched on for that. But yeah, 5 minute is a good starting point for most beginners. 5 minute chart and the ES, not the NQ. The ES is actually a great footprint to trade. Solo trade. Trade with 25 minis. Yeah, I did earlier. I put 25 minis on a short. The only trade I took in a cash account, not this account. This account at the moment is not even real. This is just literally a dummy account for the live stream as we move everything over, and my account goes to Trade-O-Vate. But yeah, I took it there. Oh man, that was insane. But yeah, the ES is a great footprint. Oh, beautiful footprint because it has so much volume, so you can really see the numbers a bit better. And it's slow. I know slow is boring, but slow gives you a little bit more time to make a decision. So the ES 5 minute chart, that is probably the most beginner friendly way to trade, like by far. If you're getting into order flow, definitely don't use the Dow. The Dow is way too difficult because the volume is relatively low on the Dow. But the ES 5 minute chart, add low volume nodes. You can see things clearly. Like look how just crystal clear some of this stuff is on the ES, right? Like look at these contracts coming in from the buy side. That's going to pique your interest because two things are even going to happen. These buyers are going to be very effective and keep pushing this market up, and it's going to start working as kind of like what do you call it, as a support, right? Or they're going to get trapped and squeezed out the market. Only two things can happen at any time. And you can just see they start failing getting the market up. They try to come in again and completely get trapped at the top. And as the market starts going back to where they all entered, they all start dropping out the market, and that shows up as a lot of sells. They all start panicking, and that is your cue to get the hell into the market for a short, right? The ES on the 5 minute is I wouldn't say easy to trade, but it's a hell of a lot easier to trade than the NQ. A lot easier. And it does it a bit slowly, so you got time to react. Like the NQ, by the time you see it a lot of time, the move's already happened. You're like, shit, you missed it. And that's the most annoying part. But the ES, you have time to react, So yeah, great little scalp trade you could have taken there on the 5 minute, And you can see again, just how all the volume on the buy side is trapped at the top, and they're just not able to get it up higher. Like there's a clear absorption there. You got 500 contracts, another 500, 400, 300, 400, 300, and it's not going up. It's just not, they're not able to push it up. That's probably a good sign. Sellers might take over. If the sellers are a bit more aggressive and come in, they can push this market down. It's not guaranteed, because if buyers just keep at it and keep adding and adding, they will eventually break through. But like here, they did eventually, break through, or they're kind of breaking through now. But you can see the sellers coming in with size. Are they capable now? There's no real trap buyers, right? So this isn't a good time to potentially short yet. I wouldn't short yet. Don't chase the volume, because these sellers they're coming in heavy, but are they effective? They haven't really followed through much right now. Probably not a good idea to get in short, So you want to have a bit of patience when you're reading the footprint, because it's all cause and effect. If because this should push the market down a bit more, right? 900 contracts, an extra 1,800 delta should push the market down a bit more than 2 points. Do you know what I mean? Something's not right. 2 points and the market, 1,800 contracts, when you push down 2 points, there is obviously a buyer here. There's a big buyer here in the book somewhere. absorbing all these sellers. So the likelihood is it's more likely at this moment in time to go up than it is to go down. But if you really want to be careful and wait for that confirmation, you want to see buyers actually come in and be effective. So look, they've printed 340. It looks like, they're not massively effective, but they're certainly more effective than the sellers at this moment in time. But you can still see sellers coming in. We were at 340, we're now at 240. That means an extra 100 sellers came back in. So you want to kind of hold off. You want to let those sellers give up a little bit, stop selling essentially. Give up, or the buyers become super aggressive, one or the other. And then you want to see a bit of effect. You want to actually see the market capable. Look, the buyers coming back in. They added another 100 or so contracts. We're now back to 340. Sellers are still trying to, sell against the buyers. So what you can do, hypothetically, what is generally quite good, is you add, a small position, just like one contract or one mini or whatever. Oh, sorry, one micro, two micros, whatever it might be. You add one just to dip your toe in. And realistically speaking, if the sellers kind of get below this area, you're wrong. So you can have a tight stop right now. And then as the market starts, let's say the buyers are able to, break through some of these sellers and the sellers give up, then you can add a bit more size. Once you get more confirmation, you add more size and then you ride it up. So that's a good kind of way of catching the move quite early on and keeping your risk small. And because when you're right, you want to be really right. So you want size in the market when you're right. Because look, the buyers aren't that effective at this second right now. They're adding a lot of contracts as well, but sellers are happy to take the other side and keep them from pushing up. Buyers also happy to take the other side and keep the sellers from pushing down. So we're very kind of, trapped at the moment in this range. But it looks like the buyers are just a little bit more effective at this moment in time. So if we get a bit higher, add a bit more size and, ride the wave up, basically, we want to kind of break through these sellers, let them give up. As soon as these numbers start becoming, you don't see the numbers dropping that much. So we're at 117. That's good. That means more buyers are adding. 180. This is good. 200. This is very good. And you're not seeing this number drop massively. A little bit there. Drop back to 170, 150. That means sellers are still trying to fight it. So you're keeping an eye on the real time. Look at that. Sellers came in again. We've dropped all the way back down to 40. Buyers came back in. They're adding more size, add a bit more size. Do you know what I mean? And ride it up as the buyers keep going. So it's about the efficiency of the market, not just the numbers. The numbers mean jack shit. Well, they don't mean jack shit. I mean, they still have meaning, but yeah, you got to, whenever something doesn't make sense, you got to ask, is what you're seeing, are the results of the market, is the actual market moving to what you would expect considering the amount of volume coming in? If the answer is no, that means there's absorption happening. And it's just basically, you're doing this day in, day out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, been on for almost an hour and a half. So that was a crazy trade. Oh, you're talking about the 25 mini trade. If anyone wants to see it, I at the beginning of this stream, I show my cash account. I took a trade at 25 minis. I shorted it. A bit reckless of me, but yeah, made like 20 something grand on it. I showed it at the beginning of this stream, so feel free to look at the beginning of this stream. I'm learning things from you. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. You're most welcome. Nihal, is it along here? Oh, okay, I already answered that. But yeah, guys, I'm going to pretty much end it here because it's been running quite a while and the market's pretty dead. So, but I'm back again Oh, Monday is Martin Luther King Day, I believe, or something, right? I don't know. I think the markets have limited hours on Monday. Uh, but yeah, no, I'll probably be trading Monday. Yeah, I think Monday will be fine. Might be a bit dead, but I'll come on live. Yeah, they close early, don't they? Yeah, I'll probably. Yeah, I don't know. I actually have to check if they're closed. I think they just close early. I think the hours are a bit different. But if if they're still open for at least like a couple of hours on, I'll trade it. Why not? So I'll be live. But otherwise Tuesday 100%. Back to normal. So yeah, I'll see you guys all there either Monday or Tuesday. But yeah, follow me on Instagram. I usually update if I'm going live. If there's a day that I won't be live or whatever, I'll post it on my story. So you know. But so well worth following me. The link is in the description. Okay. It was like 11:59 a.m. or something. Ah, okay. Yeah, so it's open for a couple of hours. All right, it should be fine then. I'll go live Monday. Why not? But yeah. Hi Sam, have you ever used volume delta candles indicator by Lux Algo? How does it compare to? I've never used it. Honestly, I've never used it. But if it uses real volume data, they might be useful. But if it's using tick data, then so try find out if it uses real volume data, it could probably be useful. But if it uses data, then sadly it's still better than nothing, but it's not the best. Do you know what I mean? Um, all right, cool. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you all next week. Have a great weekend. And yeah, I'll see you all then. Take care, everyone. Thank you.